to Self-Help for Robots. I'm your host, CJ Pitchford, and I've got a robot. It is, of course, just a Roomba, but that sense of, real accomplishment that comes from actually doing absolutely nothing is something that I will now always cherish, and especially the ability to spend money to do that. I think that's probably the best thing that's going on with robotics right now is, it's actually driving a lot of the economy. Oh boy, actually, I think that it is. But so with a new Roomba that I really now have maybe too much of an attachment for. In fact, a name, Rosie, was suggested, and that I'm watching this thing, and yeah, it does what a Roomba does. You've probably seen them and stuff. But as you know, it's definitely, it's like, hey, the cotton gin, did one thing. It took those fibers, and the Roomba does just one thing. But it has, a way of learning the patterns of cleaning for the place where it is docked. And so I've been looking at some machine learning, of course, that the overall idea is that the predictive models of statistics can help, work with data and become, like using models, using particular analysis and reduction, you're able to do some really accurate predictions. So the idea that there's machine learning that is helping this become a robot when it's really just an automated vacuum cleaner or sweeper. It is something, though, worthwhile to try to explore. And of course, that's why the company iRobot has a create kit for the Roomba, where you don't have to have just a robot. You can put your own whatever it is that you would want to build into that. That could be a Raspberry Pi. It could be a robot within a robot. Just like the idea of a cat riding a Roomba was able to take over the internet, and doing something else, you might be able to take over the internet yourself. But like I said, that this is the 15th episode of the podcast, Self-Help for Robots, and it's nice that we do have a robot, actually. Maybe it would be great for a sponsorship or something. But no, Rosie, of course, was named after the robot in the Jetsons, which, that is probably problematic in itself. And actually, I'll just say right now that the Flintstones was the better show and than the Jetsons, although I really do wish that I had a levitating car that could fold into the size of a briefcase. Just think of the parking. Oh, wow. And I might even survive a month. I don't know, but flying around everywhere would be, really incredibly dangerous for the mass of the commute. So I can just imagine all those people that I know that are right now restricted, at least by gravity. But if that restraint was lifted, then, there'd be probably no constraints. And I think that constraints are one way that, to wrap it back into data, that would look at how the ability to iterate on things and to learn from them, that machine learning and the ability for the Roomba to create a predictive model of its patterns. And so that it's something that also want to explore in other ways, like to motivate a robot to understand a model of motivation by a very simple emotional model with all the different kind of connotations that it means, that there'd be a sense of self for a robot. I don't think that Rosie has a sense of self, and that the idea, though, of that self, that status, that concept, and that model being applied to a device that's used for vacuuming. That's the thing, is that mentioned several episodes ago about wanting to personalized, to have a connection to a robot. I've already anthropomorphized the robot, thinking that it's trying to, like I would, tease the small animals that now inhabit the same place that it does. There weren't any animals, no animals were harmed in the video of the Roomba, but that the animals are certainly perturbed by the presence of this device that didn't have any, connection that they would be be able to understand the way that that these animals certainly can understand a connection with the people who also inhabit that space, and other guest people. They have their own status, but this machine does not, yet. That the animals are as adaptive as that they can be, and so that they might then do classify the machine in its own way. And so that's, I mean, we've had toys, and my kids when they were young had remote robots and stuff. And so that robotics being used as part of automation, but connecting that to some source, something that we would understand as an other, instead of just this collection of code and very clever use of technology. The fact that the Roomba could be connected to Alexa was just another instance of being able to, feel like that there was actually a robot, that you're talking and you're able to use voice commands that are so natural to us non-robots to interact with a robot. But that's the thing, is that they're speaking back to us not in our language yet, as they don't have the ability to understand us in any way, except through those predictive models. And that's the thing, is that our computer algorithms are very good at predicting using statistical models and analysis, so that I think that my content to this podcast is probably utterly predictable to a machine after it's analyzed all of my podcasts to this date. Although I am not using a script, and so thank you very much for letting me ramble on about Rosie, the Roomba. And for those of you, robots and non-robots alike, who if you need any help that, at any time, please seek a medical professional or a counseling professional that you trust. Get registered with health insurance to help with that. And do shop around. I understand that is something that may be very, very helpful. And again, just keep helping yourself.